All right, so a lot of you guys right now are thinking about going fully standalone, and you're thinking about getting you some beat machines and some keyboards and all that good stuff. And that's actually kind of cool because we all know that it sounds really good. And with everything being kind of limited to a standalone production, you kind of get a little bit more creative as well. But there's a few things that is associated with being fully standalone. And let's go ahead and talk about that today.
Bolo!
All right, before we get started, if you guys need some equipment, whether it's keyboards, beat machines, whether it's microphones, audio interfaces, whatever you need, go ahead and click my link in the description and go to Zounds.com. Zounds.com has a ton of stuff on the site that requires no credit or background check. Now, it's not everything, but it's a ton of stuff on the site that you can get, that you can just order, link your credit or debit card up to it. They'll ship it over to you and you can just pay it off over time, making some monthly payments. So go ahead and click that link in the description if you need some equipment today. Click on that thing and get you some equipment right now. Also, if you guys do not have my drum kits, go ahead and click that link in the description and get my drum kits today. They are all dope. I'm telling you, they're dope and they're all cheap. Most of them go for $10. My last drum kit is $15, but it comes with some extras, okay? Especially for you NPC guys. So if you do not have my drum kits, go ahead, click that link in the description right now and get my drum kits today. I'm telling you right now, they're dope. All right, so some of you guys really want to get into this standalone game, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you some of the stuff that you might want to think about before getting into this. Now, you guys know I make a lot of my beats using my MPC Key 61, my Jupiter X, my Sequential Prophet. I have a Phantom 06, I have a FA 06, and I had a ton of other keyboards and stuff before all of that. And to be honest with you, I'm probably going to get some more stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that is associated with having all that. And I want to let you guys know the dark side of having a whole standalone production system. Now, if you guys are fairly new to this, you don't know what standalone means. It basically means you do all of your production outside of the conventional computer or laptop, and you do it using either hardware, instruments, or anything that does not require a computer. That's pretty much it. But old Bolo's gonna keep it real with you, because even though I do a lot of stuff in standalone, I've done a lot of stuff inside of the box as well. And you know, inside of the box, pretty much all you need is a computer, MIDI controller, some speakers, some programs, and maybe like a USB mic or something like that, you know, and then you're pretty much done. However, using this stuff right here, it's a few things you need to know about. Like number one, the first thing that you have to take into account for is you're going to spend money. Yes, this stuff gets very expensive depending on how much equipment that you have and how much equipment that you really need. Now, a lot of times we end up getting equipment that we really don't need, but we just get it because you never know when you're gonna need it. Like my equipment right now, just what I have on this rack right here is close to about $8,000, okay? And it serves its purpose for what I'm trying to do. Even though I got about $8,000 on this rack, I have about another, let's just say I've spent a lot of money on a lot of gear that's not even on this rack that is used from time to time. But as of right now, this right here is about $8,000 worth of stuff. And that's not even including the extra cables and even the mixers and even a few pieces of hardware that I have as well with all this stuff going in. So the first dark side to this is money. You're going to spend a little bit more money than what you would spend with a laptop and a MIDI controller. We're actually going to spend a lot more money. Now, the second thing that we have to discuss is space. When you have this type of gear, you're going to need space to put this gear, okay? When you have like, you know, like your laptop, your MIDI controller and stuff like that, you can pretty much just put it on the desk and you're pretty much fine. With this here, you're gonna need some space. And to be honest with you, you're gonna need a few other things as well to hold all this stuff while it's taking up a bunch of space. Because before I was really into like getting all this analog gear or getting all these synthesizers and beat machines, I pretty much had a little section right here where I just pretty much did everything. But the more and more stuff I got, the more and more space in my studio it took up. So you're gonna have to have some space. I had to get something to sit all this stuff on, and I got a mixer right here, so I needed more space for that. So you gotta prepare yourself for how much space is gonna be used. Even in the rack mounts and everything, it's going to require space. Number 3, creativity. When you are using analog gear, or if you're using any type of standalone production type of a setup, your creativity is going to change. And if you're somebody who is not as creative, or you do not know how to produce without pretty much using one of these, well, I know you guys don't like using these because, you guys don't understand the power of using this type of a mouse, but this is one of the best things you can buy. Like this, you ain't got to move your hands all over the desk and all like that, but this is for another video. If you're the type of guy who likes to click in your notes and you don't really know much about music theory and you don't know much about playing or using chords, this is going to be a lot different, and it's going to hit your creativity in the beginning. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take you to get it, but it's going to take a little bit of time because it's going to be a huge learning curve. And some people say, well, it's not going to take that long. I can make beats on anything. Yeah, I understand all that. But this is definitely a huge learning curve for anybody. Anytime you get a new piece of equipment, it's going to be a learning curve. Now, some people get it faster than others, but I'm just going to try to keep it real with you guys. If you guys do not understand some type of music theory and you're not that creative with making stuff with your hands, then you're going to have a learning curve and your creativity is going to be hit for a minute. Now, I noticed that with a lot of people who have bought MPCs that have moved from software to MPCs and you never used it. And a lot of you guys like, oh, the MPC, I don't know, I just don't get it. I don't understand it, because you're not used to the learning curve of it. And a lot of times is you have to just sit with it and you have to force yourself to learn it. If you do not want to force yourself to learn it, then it's just going to be something that you bought that's going to be sitting there and you're not going to be using it to its full potential. So yeah, your creativity is going to take a hit, but if you just kind of hang in there, I think you'll be all right. And that leads me to my other point, patience. That's the real dark side of everything, is patience. Some of you guys do not have any patience when it comes to making stuff in Standalone, okay? You're gonna have a ton of patience with this stuff, because this stuff does not work the same way as like VSTs and stuff. When you are using this type of equipment, you better understand that things do happen regardless of how many updates, how many firmware updates they add to this stuff. Stuff is going to happen. One of the main things I tell people is have patience, because when you're producing on this, it's going to take a little bit longer. Unless you're somebody like me who's been doing it for a while, I can go ahead and I can get through this pretty fast. See, the thing is right now, a lot of you guys don't have patience and you're thinking, okay, I just want to pump out beats and pump out beats and pump out beats. But with this kind of slows everything down to where you actually have to think a little bit more. That's why what I was saying before with the creativity, you have to have some type of patience, because your creativity is going to be hit a little bit. But once you get a grasp of all of this stuff, things will become better. And then once you try to actually learn this stuff and give it some time to learn it and understand how everything works, things will be better. So you're going to have to be patient with this stuff, okay? Patience. All right, what are we on? Like number 5, number 6? I can't remember. But another thing you have to worry about is failures, equipment failures. Now, as of today, with all of my newest MPCs and everything, I've maybe had 2 times where it just completely shut down on me for no reason. But once I restarted, everything was cool. And I've had these new MPCs and stuff like that since 2017. Now, with all the keyboards and stuff I had, I didn't have any failures with that. But one thing you do have to understand with hardware is, over time, these things will sometimes die on you, and over time things might break or whatever. It's just like with any type of machine we have, the more we use it, the more it could be damaged. Now, with these, you'll spend a ton of money on them, and then if they're damaged, you have to go ahead and get them serviced. But I mean, just to be completely honest with you guys, I think I maybe had one piece of equipment in my life serviced, and that was a compressor. Other than that, most of my keyboards and everything had very minor issues, like it might have collected some dust and maybe some of the buttons were kind of working weird, but that was after like 10 or 12 years of usage, okay? So just be prepared that if something breaks, try to learn the equipment and try to learn how to fix it yourself, because if you have to ship it off to somebody, it might take a little bit time for it to get done, and they might tax you a little bit. But you know, that's just the risk of buying this type of stuff. Stuff breaks. Now, does it break a lot? I haven't heard a lot about this stuff breaking, like these newer keyboards and stuff like that, but it's all depending on how you use it. So yeah, just be prepared for that. I haven't really had any problems, but I've heard people that have had problems with it. But yeah, just be prepared for it. And the last thing, the dark side of this that we all have to understand is this ain't for everybody. And for some of you guys who think it's for you, it's really not. And that's not a bad thing. It's just you understanding that you might not be able to handle it. And that's cool. But you have to be somebody that can handle all of the stuff that I just mentioned. Because if not, then you'll have a whole bunch of gear just sitting here, and then you'll be sitting there talking about like, man, I just bought this piece of gear and it ain't do nothing for me. I don't know what they talking about, man. I just spent my money. Yeah, because you were not ready for it, and you didn't have the patience for it, and you really just didn't understand what you were getting yourself into. Everybody is not going to be about this standalone life, and there is nothing wrong with it. You can get great sound out of anything if you're good. But with this, I believe it will enhance your productions because it will force you to be more creative, and it'll give you a greater sense of how production really is and how people used to make great songs with just using the limited amount of stuff that they had. And I'm gonna keep saying it. Some of you guys are just not ready for it, and it's all good, because in the beginning, I wasn't really ready for it, but then once I started hearing how things sounded, I got hooked. And I want to get more equipment because I loved how it sounded and I loved the workflow of it. And some of you guys are just not ready for the workflow or ready for the things that come along with this standalone production. Now, I'm not trying to scare you guys, okay? The standalone world is not that bad. I know a lot of you guys want to get into it because y'all hear how this stuff sounds and it seems really fun. But I did want to give you guys kind of the dark side of being in standalone production. But don't be scared of it, okay? Go ahead, you can get one of them new MPC 1 Pluses, and you can get you like the Juno keyboard that's like super cheap. It's like $700-800. You can start off with something like that, or start off with some small synthesizers that's very cheap. Just get you like some type of a sequencer and try it out. You know what I'm saying? And you can get all that through my link at zounds.com. A lot of that stuff with no credit or background check. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys learned something from it. And like I always say, peace out.